Learning from F. Lee Bailey's cross-examination of Mark Furman at the O.J. Simpson trial. Coming up right after this.
Yes.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Mr. Small Claims Court YouTube channel. Very grateful to have you. I'm Jordan Farkas, and if you've already subscribed, and I do see that the subscribership of the channel keeps growing every time I log in, so I'm very grateful to those of you who have subscribed. If you have not yet subscribed, please take a second to do so and to hit the notification bell. It will definitely help my channel and help me to continue producing videos just like this to help you win in small claims court, but definitely helps you as well to win your case in small claims court, assuming you have a small claims court case. If you wanted to learn a bit more about me, you can check out the bio video that I have on the homepage of this channel. What I want to do in this video is pick up where I left off, at least partially in my last video where I talked about winning techniques to winning in small claims court trial, particularly how to win at the actual trial. And I'll try to remember to link that above. I always forget if I would be pointing up this way or pointing up that way, but I'll try and add a card back to the video that I previously uploaded. And in that video, I discuss the art of the cross-examination, particularly referencing F. Lee Bailey. Now, F. Lee Bailey is the famed attorney, or one of the many attorneys who was part of what was known as the dream team for O.J. Simpson when he had his trial of the century. And F. Lee Bailey was the one who cross-examined famously or infamously Mark Furman, who was a detective of the LAPD, the one who discovered the bloody glove. And F. Lee Bailey went up to cross-examine Mark Furman in order to discredit him. And what he did to discredit him, amongst many other things, was to paint him as a racist. Okay, so what I want to do in this video is to demonstrate just how F. Lee Bailey was able to ask questions of Mark Furman to elicit those yes or no responses that I talked about in earlier videos, particularly the last video, because that's what you want to do. You want to get to those yes or no answers. You want to lead that witness to the yes or no promised land, if you will, so that when you have those admissions or denials by the defendant, you can impeach, you can contradict the witness by bringing in evidence that shows that what the defendant says is untrue. Now, that can be useful for multiple ways. Most importantly, one is to discredit the credibility of the witness. So even if you impeach, even if you discredit or disprove what the witness has said in terms of something that's not related to the actual facts of the case, if you can generally show the defendant can be seen as being uncredible or being a liar, then that defendant has a much less likelihood of being believed by the judge. In the O.J. Simpson case, obviously, it was by the jury. And as interviews showed later on, the cross-examination of F. Lee Bailey of Mark Furman, even though it had to do with racism and really had nothing to do, arguably anyways, with what actually transpired in the case, F. Lee Bailey was able to point holes at Furman's credibility that allowed the witness, the jury rather, to pretty much discredit anything Furman had to say. And because Furman was the one who discovered one of the bloody gloves, discrediting Furman was a huge victory for the defense. Some would say it was the pivotal moment. It was what's won the case for the defendants. Other people say it was Johnny Cochran famously or infamously putting on the glove, or saying how the glove, when O.J. Simpson put on the glove, it didn't fit, you must have quit. There's all sorts of pivotal moments, okay? But definitely F. Lee Bailey's cross-examination of Furman was one of them. And I want to remind everyone who's watching this that I'm not making any statements as to what my personal views are. I try and stay away from any sort of politics or anything like that. This is just about the art of the technique. It's just demonstrating how F. Lee Bailey was kind of able to paint Mark Furman in a corner so that when he elicited the yes or no answers that he wanted, later on, when he was able to introduce evidence to discredit Furman, it was able to be that much more powerful. And just to give you a bit of a background, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into a brief YouTube clip that I found on YouTube of F. Lee Bailey's cross-examination. And just before I do that, I just want to set this up for you. Basically, what had happened was that Furman went up to testify on behalf of the prosecution that he found the glove, et cetera, et cetera. And then when he gets up to be cross-examined by F. Lee Bailey, one of the defense attorneys for O.J. Simpson, F. Lee Bailey starts asking him all sorts of questions about his background and whether or not he ever said something to somebody named Kathleen Bell, if he ever made any racist remarks. And you're going to see the responses that Furman gives. But the point is that ultimately Bailey was able to show later on by bringing in evidence to impeach Furman's testimony that while Furman denied saying anything racist, there definitely were recordings of him making racist remarks. And that goes back to my earlier point. So impeaching the witness is important, because even if it doesn't speak to the actual facts at hand, by discrediting the witness, it makes your case that much more powerful and the other side's case that much less believable. And oftentimes you can even impeach a witness on the specific facts of your case, which is even that much more better. Okay, but that doesn't matter. If you can impeach a witness, if you can discredit a witness in any way, shape, or form, the O.J. Simpson trial, particularly the F. Lee Bailey cross-examination of Mark Furman, proves that this could be a very powerful way of allowing yourself to win your case. And I want to remind you again that I'm not suggesting that a small claims court case is the same as a criminal trial. Obviously, they're very different. The rules of evidence are different. Small claims court is a people's court, but it's just to make the point of how to do a proper cross-examination. So with all that background, I'm going to jump right into this video that I found courtesy of YouTube, and I'll try and remember to link to the person or the news channel that uploaded it to give the proper accreditation. Okay, so we're going to pick this up towards the end of F. Lee Bailey's cross-examination of Mark Furman, and watch how he gets yes or no responses. Let's take it away.
If you remember, Detective Furman, if you have used the language that we have just reviewed.
And the language that F. Lee Bailey is referring to is the N-bomb, as one would say, okay, about African Americans.
Yes. That is important enough language to use so that it would impress itself on your memory as the meeting with the Simpsons in 85. Is that correct? Yes.
Okay, he's already gotten a yes from Mark Furman that he would have remembered if he said the N-word. And then the next question as well, and it would have been important enough to remember. And notice how F. Lee Bailey is saying towards the end, is that correct? Again, he's trying to get the yes or no's. Is that correct? All Furman has to say is yes or no. And sure enough, Bailey's getting those.
A woman over 6 feet high, or a woman in the company of someone you now know to be Kathleen Bell? No, I do not.
Once again, no, I do not. It says he doesn't know Kathleen Bell.
With a tall woman, and he said that black men who have white women in their company are violating.
Once again, notice how Bailey gets his yes or no answers. Did you say such and such about black men and white women, et cetera, et cetera? No.
You would arrest them whenever you saw that occur? No.
Once again, gets his simple no answer. He's setting up Mark Furman for the yes, no, yes, no. You see that sort of dance that F. Lee Bailey is doing? He's just setting him up for yes and no so that he can later impeach him infamously with that video. If those statements had been made. Yes. Is that the kind of language, referring again to N-bombs, that you would clearly remember if you would have made them? And Furman says yes. And don't forget, he's already denied ever making them.
You would say, Kathleen Bell, Andrea Perry, but you make those statements that would necessarily be false. Yes.
And that's the final point I wanted to make here. That F. Lee Bailey ends off with a bang where he says, if Kathleen Bell claims that you made racist remarks, she would have to be not telling the truth. It would by extension be a false comment. And Furman says no. Let's go back into the regular video. I'll leave the YouTube for now. So that was a demonstration of a masterful cross-examination of Mark Furman. Of course, you can go onto YouTube and find all sorts of different examples of F. Lee Bailey cross-examining, not just Mark Furman on other aspects of the case, but also other witnesses and really tearing them apart. But in this case, I wanted to show a bit of a snippet of this video to demonstrate just how you want to elicit those yes or no answers, so that when you want to trap your witness later on, you've got them committed to a position, just as in the way that F. Lee Bailey did it here with Furman. Because once again, ultimately what Bailey was able to do later on was to introduce those explosive tapes that caught Mark Furman on tape saying all sorts of racist remarks. And that really worked to discredit him as a witness. By the way, again, I'm not making any comments as to whether or not I feel he was actually being truthful about the facts of the actual O.J. Simpson case, but certainly in the eyes of the jury, they no longer had believed Furman to be credible. And the way that F. Lee Bailey was able to do that was by eliciting those yes or no answers from Mark Furman so that he can later trap him and impeach his credibility. And I wanted to note as well, you may notice if you do watch some other videos of F. Lee Bailey, or you watch some other videos, as I suggested in my last video about watching law and crime documentaries or videos from crime or court TV, that yes, there are times where lawyers will ask more open-ended questions, not necessarily yes or no questions, but that's only when they're very positive that the responses are not going to be something that surprises them or something that's going to hurt their client's case. Of course, for you, the average person in small claims court, it can be risky to ask an open-ended question. But if you're, when you're a seasoned veteran like F. Lee Bailey, or a seasoned cross-examining litigation lawyer, then you can sort of stray a bit from the strict letter of the law, so to speak, the strict rules of cross-examining, to ask questions that you feel will bring your case along. But for those of you that are not lawyers and you're lay people and you're in small claims court, it definitely pays to sort of stick to the rule book so that you do as best an effective job as you can. And that is to ask those leading questions that I've talked about in my earlier videos, to ask the yes or no questions, to try and really get the witness to commit to a specific position so that you can impeach the witness later on with evidence to the contrary. Okay, I hope you found that video helpful. This was a bit shorter than some of my other videos because I just wanted to kind of bring out the point I was making about how F. Lee Bailey did a masterful job of his cross-examination at the O.J. Simpson trial. And I did not want to get into a whole further discussion of cross-examining again. I feel that I've made the point already. Of course, if you do have any sort of questions about cross-examination or any questions in general, feel free to leave that in the comments section below. If you have any feedback for me, that's always welcome. If you feel there's somebody who can benefit from this video or any other video on the Mr. Small Claims Court channel, feel free to pay that forward and share that with that person. And of course, if you haven't subscribed yet, then don't forget to hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so that you don't miss a future video. As always, I do appreciate that you came to my channel, that you watched this video, and until next time, I look forward to seeing you at the next video. Hey, thanks for watching. If you found that video helpful for winning your small claims court lawsuit, then you're not going to want to miss a future video. Hit the like button, the subscribe button, and the notification bell. It takes a second so that you don't miss a future video to help you win your small claims court lawsuit.